Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. I am Melrose, and I am here to share your daily aspects. Today is Thursday, February 10, 2022. The sun is in Aquarius, as is the planet Saturn. Saturn is right at home in Aquarius. It is the traditional ruler of both Capricorn and Aquarius. Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn and Uranus, though, so there's this little push and pull there of we want to do what is structured, what is tried and true with we want to change things up for the betterment of everybody. So when Saturn is in effect, stability is key. Sometimes that's a bit of a struggle. And, and by struggle, I just mean, we're putting in a lot of work under Saturn's auspices. Okay, when Saturn is hanging out, especially where the sun is, then the light is really just shined on the work that we're doing to keep ourselves, to maintain ourselves, our solid foundations. But Aquarius reminds us to use our heads too, and not just to don't put your head on the boulder with your hands and keep pushing. Align, your mind with what inspires you, and use the clarity that comes from that inspiration, to see that we don't have to control things in order to make them strong, workable, or well-functioning. Okay, we have to be in control of ourselves, definitely, and we have to apply our efforts, definitely, but holding on too tight to the control, being the only one who can do the work, etc., that's working too hard. And the moon is in Gemini today. We have a waxing gibbous moon, which is our encouragement to work, put in the work, take action, in the manifesting, in the bringing to fruition of those plans and intentions that you set with the new moon, or maybe you have some longer term goal that is about to come into fruition. Short term, long term, we want to have something to celebrate and appreciate with the full moon, and we always do have something to celebrate and appreciate with the full moon. Let's have some goals met at that time as well. And moon in Gemini, on reflection this morning, because Gemini is very not just talkative, but communication oriented and creativity. Okay, so creativity points to seeking solutions, right? To using our minds and our imaginations and our inspiration, to create better solutions for ourselves, so we're not just work. Even though this is the time to work, it's the time to work using communication and creativity. So trust your instincts at this time and discuss all the options. Okay, Aquarius takes a very broad view of what's going on. It's not just me and mine. It's not just my house. It's my neighborhood, my community. My larger group of people. And so we have to discuss all of the options, in part so that we can sort of include everybody in our solutions, right? Okay, so we're going to take a look at the planets that are on the page really quickly, and then we'll get into the aspects. The sun represents the outer life. This is who you are on the outside, that person that people first get to know when they meet you, and also who you are in relation to your work life, your social life, and your civic life. And the moon, alternatively, relates to the inner life. Okay, so this is your experience of yourself. It has very much to do with your body and how that feels, but also what's going on in your heart and mind, what you think, feel, know, and intuit, as well as who you are in relationship to your home life and your domestic space, including the people that are there with you and where that happens to be. Mercury is the personal planet for the intellect. That is your personal day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications, and the running around that you do. Mars is your personal planet for initiative, whatever that fire is in your gut that got you up out of bed and moving forward this morning. What inspires you? What drives you? Jupiter represents, where is Jupiter? Oh, Thursday is Jupiter's day. So Jupiter represents growth, expansion, sort of the expansion of the experience that we're having. So, you know, higher education, travel abroad, bigger business, just sort of growing in general. And Saturn represents stability. It's those structural foundations, those networks that we rely on for support and validation, and our duty to engage in those structures, to keep an eye on them, to do what we can to keep them strong. Neptune asks, what is your relationship to the human collective? That's that down there. And Pluto brings us through transformations. The high highs and low lows of our experiences, deaths, births, endings and beginnings, and through those experiences we are transformed, and hopefully we get to evolve into the next brighter version of ourselves. Okay, so I have divided the page into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon sheds light on our inner lives. That's your body, heart, and mind. And the very brief aspects that it makes have more to do with what happens to you on the inside. So it has more of an impact on your feelings and intuitions. The sun sheds light on our outer lives, and I address the sun's aspects and the other planets' aspects here because they take longer and they have more to do with who we are and how we come to engage in our work, social, and civic lives. And we start with the moon today, friends, at Central Standard Time, 2:20 p.m. Moon makes a trine with Saturn. So, you know, when the moon is in aspect with Saturn, then we tend to really notice and feel our relationship to those foundations, those structural networks that we rely on for support and validation. And with the trine aspect, we feel really positive about that. And we also feel really positive about our ability to build on what we have and grow what we have. And we can once again trust our instincts, which was the message up here. So especially at this time, there's a lot of initiative and there's a lot of quick instinctive thinking. So it's a really golden time. If you have an idea and you're like, hey, if I act on this now, it's going to be great, then trust your instinct and go do that thing, okay? And then 8:31 p.m. the moon makes an apogee. So that is the moon's farthest point from the Earth in its elliptical orbit around the Earth. And the moon's distance from the Earth does make a difference in things that happen on the Earth physically. So it has an impact on how the tides roll in and out. When it's at its apogee, it pulls the water less forcefully. Okay, so we get gentler, closer together tides. And, you know, what this says symbolically is less heart, more mind. Okay, this is less about my body and more about what's going on in my head at this time, or that's what we're feeling at least. But it's important still to seek the balance between mind and body. Okay, like just because we're not paying attention to our body or what's going on in our hearts, just because we feel like a coolness or a disconnection or just that it's less urgent to take care of those things, that doesn't mean we can ignore them. We have to seek the balance. And then tomorrow morning at 12:43 a.m. in the middle of the night, the moon makes a square with Neptune. Moon in aspect with Neptune makes us really sensitive, okay? Perhaps even to the point of being psychic. There's that thing where you can just kind of feel and know what the people around you are feeling and knowing. You know, it's sort of more of a collective conscious vibe than it is just, you know, what's inside me is what's inside me, right? We're sort of feeling everybody's vibes. So with a square, that's a challenge. It can be a vibration of like deception, or that we're just feeling paranoid that we're being deceived or stolen from, lied to. So, you know, keep that in mind. It is the middle of the night. Hopefully you just, you know, go to sleep and sleep through it. But at this time, if you're concerned about it, if you're up at this time and you're worried, you feel deceived, or you feel paranoid about something, you know, trust your own plan. All right, fall back on what it is that you know that you have to do, what you know that you have done, and, you know, just stick with that. No need to lash out at anybody during this 2-hour aspect. These are all 2-hour aspects, okay? So just fall back on your own plan and tune back into that vibe later on when we're not in this potential vibration of feeling like we're being deceived. Because people aren't always deceiving us intentionally. Sometimes we just didn't get some information and then we think somebody deceived us intentionally. And we have to have room for those mistakes to happen. Okay, so on the sun side of the page, in the ongoing column, a couple more days now, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So Mercury is going to make its second iteration of its conjunct with Pluto. I don't know if it's this month. I think the last conjunct was toward the end of January, but Mercury was in retrograde. It made a conjunct with Pluto. It drifted a little bit away from Pluto, but then it went direct again, so it drifted back toward Pluto. So they've been very close to each other. They've been doing this sort of dance with each other. And this is, you know, your intellect, your thoughts, plans, and communications, especially your daily, the way you approach and relate to people daily, in an amplified position with with the transformative process, with the transformative energy, okay? So, you know, we have been having conversations with ourselves, especially when Mercury was in retrograde, in regards to how we can transform our approach to our day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications. And since Mercury's been out of retrograde, we're still thinking about how we can transform, or, you know, what is transforming about our approach to our day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications. And, you know, now we're in this period of review and we're coming to the end of it. So we want to get down to the really important part, okay? Like, sure, there are lots of little things that we can do that we felt willing to do. We've had to face some things that we weren't necessarily willing to do too, and make some choices regarding that if we want to improve our approach. So right now, you know, the guidance I was given was that the wildest part of your imagination wants to know, when will I find expression? Okay, so there's all of us, there's this kooky, wild inner part that, you know, that would blurt out the most silly and probably inappropriate things if they could, that would express themselves more creatively and more inclusively. And by inclusive, I mean, you know, like, we don't just want to have to say happy things. We don't want to just have to say positive things, or things that make people feel good or make people feel better. We want to be able to say all the things. We need to be able to express ourselves on a really deep level that shows that we have transformed our approach, and we have raised the standards for ourselves and the people around us. Okay, so when is that wildest part of your imagination going to find expression in your day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications? Include the part of your intellect that others may criticize as strange, okay? Because when they do that, they're just expressing their fear, okay? When, you know, it's scary to express a part of yourself that is not normally expressed. It's scary to express a part of yourself that you may have even repressed or just chosen not to give expression to. And it's often because we fear the criticism, but, you know, the people who give the criticism, they're the ones who fear criticism as well. So be the bold one, be the strong one, allow that, that gritty, wild part of your imagination some expression out here in the world. in your day-to-day life, okay? Be newly yourself. Become a fresh version of yourself and show it in the way that you relate to yourself and others. Okay, and then, man, I really went off on a tangent there, huh? Today is day 3 of 4, Mars trine Uranus. So this is your personal sense of initiative, that fire in your gut that gets you moving in this really positive, harmonious, ideally functioning vibration with the planet for doing things differently. Okay, so action and initiative are blessed at this time, especially when you're trying something new or doing something different from what you've done before. Remember, though, this is the guidance I received. Remember to own the outcomes, whether or not they are perfect expressions of your intent. Okay, like if, and like I said, the actions are blessed at this time. So, you know, possibly you're not going to really have any bad outcomes, but there are always unexpected outcomes that are not what we intended. And, you know, just remember to own them. Don't shun them. Don't blame somebody else for something that, you know, you're responsible for creating. Our choices tell us and others who we are. But at this point, you know, this is that energy that says your instincts are on point. You can trust your instincts and your intuition, and you can be guided even to move quickly, to take initiative like in the present or very soon, and just switch things up a little bit, do something differently. In the spirit of Aquarius, right, which keeps an eye on the solid foundations of ourselves and everyone else, but also desires to do things differently. So Mars is really cut loose and set free here. Your sense of initiative is saying, you know, is being allowed to act with blessings and I want to use the word impunity toward those changes that you wish to make. All right. When is the wildest part of your imagination going to find expression? All right. This is the time to act. Tomorrow, as I said, Mercury will make its second iteration of its conjunct with Pluto, and so we'll feel that intense vibe come down again for another couple of days of just, you know, really trying to transform our mode of expression in the world. Our daily thoughts, plans, and communications can be transformed under this aspect, and they're really kind of begging to be transformed. We really can't avoid transformation. That's why I've been encouraging us to go through it consciously and intentionally. And then next Tuesday, I believe, on the 16th, the moon will be full in Leo. It might be Wednesday, I can't remember. But on the 16th of next week, the moon will be full in Leo, and that is actually next Thursday. I checked the calendar. So that will be our opportunity to celebrate and appreciate what we have gained, what we have earned, what we have done, what we have created, what we have, okay? And, you know, it's like the sun is literally shining off the moon when the moon is full anyway, because it's a full on reflection of the sun. But then, you know, Leo is ruled by the sun, so it's a very sunny vibe for a moon aspect. I anticipate a lot of very loving and warm and sort of a celebration of growth at this time. Okay, so that's it for the aspects today, and I appreciate you sticking around. If you are still here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, like my videos, subscribe to my channel, and you know, share this with anybody that you think it might resonate with, or anyone who needs encouragement or guidance. I get a lot of encouragement and guidance out of these daily aspects, and you know, I used to do this for myself just all the time, like write all the symbols out in a book and reflect on them and give myself the information and advice. But doing this out here where I can share it with other people has really helped me learn a lot more, and really helped me take on that, you know, like the advice that I'm spreading, or just the thoughts and vibes that I'm spreading. So, you know, I appreciate that opportunity that you all give me, and that I created for myself. Both and. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the tarot card on the side of the page. This is the Seven of Swords. It represents the last 10 days of the sun's. Okay, well, I had to sort of fuss with my camera there for a moment, but we're at the end, and I want to talk to you about the Seven of Swords as it relates to the last 10 days of the sun's transit through Aquarius. The Seven of Swords is, swords again is your Mercury. It's your thoughts, plans, and communications. It's the way that you relate to others, in terms of your words and your plans. So, Seven of Swords follows the Six of Swords. We looked at that for like 10 days, and the Six of Swords was about sort of moving away from conflict, creating space, acknowledging that sometimes doesn't feel so hot. But the Seven of Swords then follows and brings in some deceptive energy. Like, this person it looks like they're trying to sort of get away with something, and they might be succeeding. And, that's not to shame any one person for making off with more than they need or making off with things that are not their own, but that is the vibe of that card. To me, this is a remembrance, a reminder to be impeccable with your word, okay? So this looks like theft, and I always go straight to lying because theft is a form of lying, right? You took something from somebody, you didn't tell them you were taking it, you didn't take it with their permission. So, we all keep secrets. Sometimes in a tricky situation, we find that the less we say, the better. Sometimes, we find ourselves in a situation, especially communicating with somebody that we don't know well, or we have come not to trust very well for one reason or another. And so, we withhold information. And, understand that omitting things, allowing somebody to believe something that isn't true is lying. And just be careful that your deceit isn't harming anyone, that you're not hurting yourself, that you're not causing yourself more work or labor or stress, and that you're not, you're not causing that deceit to bring a problem around for anyone else. And don't deceive habitually. Don't lie to people habitually. And, don't do it if you don't have to. Okay, so those are our reminders. We all keep secrets. We all withhold information from time to time. But the important thing is to be impeccable with your word, as much as you possibly can. So, really try to say what is true when you can, and really try to minimize the damage when you can't. All right. So, with that, I'm getting ready to throw a tarot card just for the day, and I'm just going to remind myself on the cards that I'm shuffling that the sun is in Aquarius, and so is Saturn, and Saturn rules Aquarius traditionally, and that the moon is a waxing gibbous in Gemini, so, we are taking action with communication and creativity. We still have the Mercury conjunct Pluto thing going on for a couple of days, and like those parts of ourselves that we've been trying not to express are really looking for expression now. They're asking, when are you going to let me out? When are you going to communicate me? When are you going to bring me out where I can have expression in the world? Okay, because we are whole human beings, and sometimes something's got to shift so that we can be more like ourselves. And then, this moon trine Uranus, our actions, our forward initiative is happening very quickly, very intuitively, and really in a blessed way. We have some positive stuff going on. We have some balanced stuff going on the moon side of the page too. I really like this Mars trine Saturn, where we can feel positive about our ability to grow. We can, again, trust our instincts and our intuitions. And that is all, in light of the fact, no pun intended, that the moon is at its apogee, so it's at its farthest point. It still has an impact on us. It just doesn't have as strong an impact. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and throw this card. Ten of Pentacles. Okay, so, a 10 is the completion of a cycle. And there's a very happy family vibe about this. It's not just happy family, is it? It's a well-resourced family. It's well-supported family. We're talking about those foundations, okay, feeling strong and, and supportive, enough to support more than just, you know, your small family unit, but more than your small family unit. Okay, so your strength lends strength to the people around you. Your strength is going to lend strength to your neighbors and your community, because you've put in a lot of work and effort. We have put in a lot of work and effort. There is a part of this card that brings to me an energy of ancestral vibrations. So it's funny, I was doing a read for myself last night, and I asked a question like, well, how, you know, I had asked a question and I got an answer, and then I was like, well, you know, how do I find the way that way? And I pulled this, and the clear message was, talk to your ancestors. So, you know, don't forget to include the people in your life that have passed. All right, if you knew somebody well in their life, a parent, a grandparent, a sister or a brother, and they have passed into the realm of the ancestors. Okay, and at that point, you know, they may be near you sometimes, they may be far from you sometimes, but you can always call upon somebody whose heart you have already known and ask them, you know, the way forward about something, or ask them to advise you personally because they know you well. Now, I've been told before that ancestors aren't the most reliable guides because they are, after all, vestiges of humans, and, you know, humans have their own sort of wants, needs, and desires, right? Their own sort of agendas. So keep that in mind. It's not like getting advice from an all-knowing, all-seeing, you know, omnipotent being. It's just getting advice from somebody that you knew well, that you cared about, whose opinion you cared about, and who cared about you. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there with the reminder that, like, the message to trust your instincts and your intuition are all over this page today. As is Saturn, we've discussed that several times, but this is about growth and expansion. This is about becoming who you are, more like who you are. This is about going through a transformation and finding expression. And sometimes, you know, it's our family that helps us find expression. You know, you don't just have to call on your ancestors. You can call on your living parents and family members too, and like tell them what's going on for you, and help them inform you while you develop your approach. Okay, that's all I have to say about that today. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Melanie Rose, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for more daily aspects.